fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. Hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a resort to crime. You can't fool me again.
What we gonna eat no money, what we at you, eat no at you. Covid money, miss away in the yellow rat you. Use the youth, the money, waste a must a man to statue. Say me like a catch you, but they got enough, they got you. Take this skin from money, got and say that is not you. One day the man above and up, him a got up. Too much it in the kitchen, some a fly by like a patu. My singers and DJs and social media's coming at you.
It burn me.
300% please.
It burn me.
Garbage pile up the day.
It burn me.
Give the teacher them raise.
It burn me.
I see corruption please.
It burn me.
Mash down the people them house.
It burn me.
Every day appear arms out.
It burn me.
Appear money them a thief.
It burn me.
And them a sell out with each.
Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a resort to crime. You can't fool me again.
For me say dig up all the charities and all of the givers. Some a go like say them powerful, me no make a bigger. The 100 promises, none of them not deliver. Cut up the youth, the rapper, they down in our river. Member bowl only and they lie them tell. Corruption smell and the pocket them swell. When police don't a market like Satan out of hell, go mash up people start like thief when them sell.
It burn me.
On them treat the market man.
It burn me.
On them a treat the cat man.
It burn me.
On them treat the peanut man.
It burn me.
On them a treat the dirt man.
It burn me.
On them a treat the soul man.
It burn me.
On them a treat policeman.
It burn me.
How them a treat soldier man.
It burn me.
How them a treat everyone.
Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't.
Stibby-dim day, stibby-dim day, stibby-dim day. We in Global TV says certain kind of friend we no keep. And some informer friend we love like. We in Global, bona fake friend and bona tape. We in Global, we not promote them, we not support them. Look at them on the cheek, come here represent for. We in Global TV, check it.
Good morning, and welcome to another of your At a Glance program. Please let me know on TikTok if you can hear me well. I really don't like the green screen over on TikTok, but I will get it right at some point the more they develop. But please let me know, Sim and Candice, Dion, and everybody over TikTok. Thank you very much for being here. I am on screen and TikTok this morning, however, not enjoying the green screen over TikTok at all. It makes me look like I'm in water. However, good morning and welcome. Good morning to those on the Twitch, on X, on Facebook, on YouTube. Good morning and welcome to another of your day's broadcast. Thank you, Simpson. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning. As usual, let me say good morning to those in the chat. Good morning to VM. Good morning to Debbie Jervis. Patricia Matthews, good morning. Good morning, my cousin Jamie Too Cool. Good morning and welcome. Jason Kane, good morning and welcome. Good morning, good afternoon. Amazing Grace, good morning, good afternoon. Ton of Flavor, good morning, good afternoon. Jamaican Carlos TV, good morning, good afternoon and welcome. Natalia Freeman, good morning, good afternoon. Amazing Grace, good morning, good afternoon. Who else is here? Sunshine, good morning, good afternoon and welcome. Prof. Gorgeous Lady, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome. Veteran, How are you? How are you? Welcome. Good morning and good afternoon. Lilith Foster, JJ, Raymond, good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to you all. Who else is here? I'm still not feeling well, guys, but Sim, you are on multi-platforms. Good morning and welcome. My cousin Candy is over on TikTok. Good morning and welcome. Sim and Sunshine, you both are multi-platforming. Thank you for that. Who else? Andrea Joan Hamilton Wilson, good morning and welcome. Maria Williams, good morning. Maria, I'm not quite 100% with over TikTok, and I'm and welcome. Parkins, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome. Welcome to you all. Thanks for joining. I will get the learn the thingy here when the time is right. My head is not focusing now. I've never used TikTok on my laptop before, only on phones or laptops, so or iPad. So VM, good morning and welcome. Good morning and welcome. Prof. Gorgeous Lady, are you saying you're 22 years this morning? If that is it, let me know if you're having a birthday, Prof. Gorgeous Lady. Are you saying you're 22? Wellness Warrior Sophie, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome. Oh, anniversary. Globalist, it is one of our very own 22nd anniversary. Please let us all wish Prof. Gorgeous Lady a milestone of her 22nd anniversary, and let us wish her a lot more for years to come. Right. How are we doing? Am I coming across sluggedy and luggedy? I will get it together. However, Rodney Reed, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome. I will get it together if I'm a bit sluggish. But there is a video which a lot of people are quite much aware of. This was a video of an incident at the Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay with a tourist from North America who was seen to be having some form of psychotic episode at the airport. And it turned into a debacle of lack of care, inexperience, lack of training, and the general lack of most, if not a lot of things in our neck of the woods. Shortly after this surface, I'm sorry, people. My things are just playing up this morning. I have no. Hold on. Bear me a second, please. I'm having problems with my technical things. I want to bring up. I might have to jump out of. Oh yeah, it's working now. What is happening here? Right, sorry about that. I'm terribly sorry. Sometimes these technical glitches and difficulties do happen. However, we see shortly after the US put out a don't go there warning. But leave the crime aside. Have you ever seen a warning from the United States where they really waffle away at our health care? I know when they putting out these do not travel or reconsider, because this is a reconsider your travel. Sandra Morgan, good morning and welcome. Normally, when they put out these do not travel or reconsider, it is more likely to do with crime most of the time. But this time, they wallowed away at our health service. They wallowed away at our health service this time. This stinging attack, which is not a lie, we know that whatever they're saying in the report with regards to our health care, it is even more dire. I think they were scoring them a bit too nice on the healthcare front. I really think they were scoring them too nice on the healthcare front. TikTok one, hold on this. Over TikTok, it is so fine. I can barely see what I'm going over here. TikTok 101. Sim Candies and everybody on TikTok. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate your support. However, the stinging attack on the healthcare, which isn't a lie, the truth be told, our healthcare is in dire strait. But unlike the others, reconsider advice, this one really went away at our healthcare. Is this a consequences? Is this a consequences of the shameful debacle we saw at the airport, where seemingly nobody was realizing that this young lady was having a psychotic episode? Nobody understand the word called dignity. Mitchie, good morning and welcome. Good morning. Nobody in Jamaica seemed to understand the word dignity. Jamaicans officials in their official capacity as civil servants don't understand common care, courtesy, and decency. Because what that situation lacked was common decency and care coming from the police and airport staffs. This was lack of care and lack of common decency coming from our civil servants. Yes, Carlos, it is true that we lack a lot when it comes to, especially in the mental health area, something I've always gone on about for years, because the truth is, when I went to law school, I should have really gone to nursing school to do mental health nursing, because mental health nursing or psychology was my passion. How I ended up in law school, don't ask me. But even at home, the way we or people who have mental health challenges get treated, they're often battered and abused, disowned, disregarded, not seen as a part of society, not seen as someone who is worthy of care and attention or love, even a lot and majority of the time from their very own family members. The truth is, the issue of mental health care in our society, it's not a governmental problem. It's a societal problem. But here where the government has not helped all this time, we have not had an emphasis in investing in mental health care. We don't have the education. Yes, wellness warrior, it is true. It is really the lacking of training. We don't have the training, knowledge, and understanding of how to identify when someone is having mental health issues, where mental health issues is a broad scope: depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, you have manic depression. There is so much a wide raft of different type of mental health illness that a person can endure. The issue is, one, in our country, we don't know how to identify. Half the time, or people are having psychotic episode or some form of mental health breakdown. The first thing we go, obia him. So that is one of the things that as a society, we need to look away from. Try to understand what is going on with our relatives and our country, men and women, rather than thinking, absolutely no one. Good afternoon over on TikTok. Thank you for being here. One of the issues is we lack the training, the knowledge to identify. And furthermore, even if we have the knowledge to identify, there isn't the broad education nationally across our country when it comes to do with mental health. There isn't the investment in mental health across the country. When most people talk about mental health care, they talk about Bellevue or Ward 21. What about the rest of the country? People experience mental health challenges right across the country. And this has got to do with investment, lack of investment from government, lack of care from government, and deliberate lack of willpower to implement such services at a wider scale across our country. But not only so, get on an education drive, a national education. You see, just like how, you see, Dr. Chopper Tufton with his wellness program. Just like how you say Dr. Tufton, Dr. Chopper, with his wellness program. This is the national attention. This is the national attention that is needed. Nifty friend, good morning and welcome. This is the type of exposure and concerted effort that needs to focus on educating the people island-wide of mental health issues. What are they? How can they affect one? Who can they affect? They can affect all of us. How to spot the signs? How to deal with those who are experiencing those challenges? Where are your professional service, your social services, your police, your psychiatric doctor and your psychologist? Oh, a lot of these services are lacking woefully across our country. Lacking. Now, when you have so much money, one, been swindled out of the Department of Education. You see how some of the money that could have gone into these type of education, these type of social and humanity education, science, all these money that have been swindled from that bunch, that lump of the $700 billion, that portion of the 700 billion that was, I want to highlight a story. I've seen Patricia said something here. Jaja Foundation. I'm going to, in my drive time program later on this evening, give a highlight and a shout out to Jaja Foundation. I think Jaja Foundation is doing an amazing work in our country. They're currently doing a pilot project of ambulance service through their foundation. And I think that is something excellent, something that we as a people can invest in, because we see the lacking and the stealing from government when it got to do with our public funds. So I will remember, there's something I needed to screen record before I do that. So I will remember, let me write it down. I will remember to do that later. I will remember to give a highlight and shout out to Jaja Foundation later. I think that is an amazing thing. There's a pilot project going on in St. James, I think, at the moment. And if successfully, then they want to roll it out island-wide. So, because our Ministry of Health doesn't provide the well-needed ambulance services across our country, but we will get back to that later. The amount of money of that 700 billion that was swindled from Department of Education. You see how this money could go into these social and humanities science that could make Jamaican more knowledgeable and aware. A lot of then again, the government, the police and immigration services, they are private sector, they're public sector. Is the government and those who run the civil service not giving those type of people skill training, how to deal with unexpected situation if and when they arrive? Even Green, good morning and welcome. Because for most of us in the Western world, we know so when we work a certain place, we have to do first aid training, we have to do mental health awareness training, we have to do diversity training, and all these little common sense or leaning towards common sense training that would allow your thinking to kick in when dealing with a situation, because you've already had a prior training knowledge. It gives you a clue how to perform in the situation. But if you're daft to the situation or seen somebody having a psychotic episode and just thinking that, oh, it's just pure violent or dopey depanar, or there is a way to observe and understand and take control of a situation, which wasn't the case. And in my view, I think that's where the backlash came from, with the stinging statement, the stinging travel advice, reconsider travel advice that the United States put out. But I cannot remember, and if anyone else remember, Carlos, do you know? Has they in there? Because last year we had a few do not travel. We had a level 4 last year, did we not? And I can't remember. Sorry. I can't remember where they had gone on such a stinging attack on the healthcare. They always focus on crime. But listen to Baba Black Sheep respond.
Notwithstanding our clear care and concern for the safety of all visitors to our island, and notwithstanding our understanding that the overall ranking of Jamaica has not deteriorated in this most recent advisory, the government is disappointed that the language used does not reflect our country's true progress in these areas. In recent years, the government has more than doubled its investments to strengthen our capacity to tackle crime and health-related challenges across the region for the benefit of our citizens and indeed everyone who wishes to visit Jamaica. We are making significant progress, serious improvements, although we still have much more to do to achieve all that we wish to deliver. It is not insignificant that Jamaica has recorded a more than 20% decline in serious crimes and strong improvements in arrests and prosecution. In healthcare, the government has also been improving infrastructure and human resources and continuing to increase capacity to deliver better healthcare to our citizens and indeed to visitors. Improvements in health and security continue to be among the government's priorities, and engagement will also continue with the U.S. and other development partners in these and other critical areas, as well as, of course, on the matter of seeking reviews of the advisories, as they are reviewed periodically, and we are hopeful that sharing of even more information and closing gaps where they exist, that this will help in the future.
Of course, Kamina Johnson, pigs can't fly. Pigs have wings. We do believe you that pigs have wings, because we always see you flying about. Of course, we do believe you, Kamina Johnson, that pigs have wings. But given the reporting coming out of the news from the start of the year, you would think from the news report we're getting, crime turn up since the year start. But because of how the government has compartmentalized and pigeonholed crime and decide which part of crime I want to talk about and focus on, then they keep, because if you all know we're moving into a local government election, they keep blinding us with the narrative that crime is going down. Have you not seen how Andrew Holness tell the police them say, "We no need for do no job up until for end of February"? But have you noticed of all these gun and something where them are find, the arrest is not mounting up to the amount of findings? They are trying to con us to believe that they are fighting crime. For me, Jamaica Politics Uncovered, good morning and welcome. Head Teacher K, good morning and welcome. For me, level 3 last year and an upgrade. Yeah, Carlos, but have you ever seen such a stinging attack on our health services in one of these travel advice from the United States? Or is this a consequences of the shameful situation we saw at our airport the other day, and the lack of knowledge and lack of experience of our civil servants at the airport. But with all these lies, Rose East, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome. Monica Willis, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome. With all of these lies that Kamina Johnson would want to have you believe, you notice a pattern of, even though there's so many killing and shooting since the start of the year, the Prime Minister and Horace Chang would want to have you believe compartmentally or pigeonholedly crime is going down, because the Prime Minister is zoom-lensed on violent crime. Nothing to do with corruption, scamming, and all the others, but violent crime, because he knows that is the major, when it comes to crime, that is the major impact on the people and the major impact when it comes to the fear of crime, even if it's not affecting you, but the fear of. So that's why the Prime Minister is zooming in on the violence, because they want to coerce you and rub you down to make them know. So don't follow the news, not because you hear say so much people dead of recent, and we kill at least 2 or 2.5 people per day because they work out them something in mathematics. The crime situation is really going down. Our government is doing something. How is it? Isn't it ironic that the government wants you to believe that they're doing something on crime, but cannot furnish a crime plan that they have promised for 8 years? 8 years while they were looting your public funds. Eight years of loot. And within that 8 years of loot, and many of the loot in the office of the Prime Minister, because you all know the Prime Minister coup many departments, many ministries into the office of the Prime Minister, and nobody is seeing the glaring symbol of dictatorship when a Prime Minister can own so much office of government, and his wife owns our parliament, because the speaker is one of the most powerful in our parliament. The speaker decides who speaks and who doesn't, who stay and who doesn't, who gets to ask a question and who doesn't. That's the power of Andrew Holness's wife in our parliament. The questions your representative gets to ask in parliament have to be authorized by Mrs. Holness. Try to ask a question on Mrs. Holness' husband that they don't want to air in public. You think that MP would get to stand on the floor in parliament? You think that MP's question would be among the business of the day in parliament? You all don't understand the power that they're pooping for themselves. Not just money. If it was just money, we could shove them off the precipice when them done thief and say, go on. But they're taking the power base, the reins of our country. That household is taking the power base of our country. And to have a cabinet of 40 teeth, silence, no pushback, no rebellion. Look at the rebellion. Look at the backbench rebellion coming from Bobby Montague the other day. Hang our 14 to 16-year-old, 14 to 17-year-old. But we're still waiting on Bobby Montague to answer the question, what should we do with Joylan Silvera? Should taxpayers' money be wasted on Joylan Silvera? Or should, Kennisburg, good morning and welcome. Or should Bobby Montague's logic be applied to Joylan Silvera? So Kamina Johnson could Lie till she blew. She couldn't convince we till she blew. But let me waffle off into this. For the young people of Jamaica, particularly Western Jamaica, where the Prime Minister is hell-bent on making sure he maintains industrious slaves to work on high-class plantation. Douglas Allen, good morning and good afternoon and welcome. Michi, good morning, good afternoon. The Prime Minister is hell-bent on maintaining the industrious slaves for high-class plantation. What do I mean? All the Prime Minister wants to push on you in his booming economic growth is to go and clean up after white people, which we have been doing since slavery. We earn nothing out of it, and we have nothing to show for it because we don't have an economy, a military, or our own laws. We're still wallowing into the mess of what the West creates. When Britain, Europe, and America tell them people them, so uno don't go down there. What do you think this economic boom would look like? What do you think this employment figure would look like? Because the Prime Minister cannot tell us, other than in the tourism industry, where they're creating these modern-day slavery roles. Because Jamaicans now get to the top of the pecking train, of the pecking order in these hotel chains across the country. Jamaicans are really not getting to the pecking order when it comes to the financial and decision-making power base of these hotel chains across the country. Jamaicans are not in the top claimant fleet, nor are they in the top decision-making. So how is it benefiting us as a country when we're not even being paid a proper living wage out of this graceful Doreen? Good morning over TikTok and welcome. So remember, if the CIA want to turn up the thing in Jamaica, them can turn it up. They did it in the late 1970s, leading up to the 1980 election. Them can turn up the thing in Jamaica again. Make the violence that we are seeing now is a baby just step in, compare. Latanya X, good morning and welcome. Carmita East, good morning and welcome. Mary Messenger 441, good morning and welcome. When the CIA, if they feel like, turn up the thing in our country to destabilize the country, and when tourists stop coming in our country, what are the jobs that all these young people, particularly across Western and Northern Jamaica, but across the entire island, who work within this tourism sector? What do you think it's going to be like when the Prime Minister make we think say the call center jobs and the hotel jobs are sustainable jobs for our economy? Anything can stop tourists from coming into the country. And Babs, your uncle, we just had a recent experience the other day of how the pandemic had crippled and could have crippled further a lot of entities. So don't let the Prime Minister fool you all as things are nice and dandy when they're ignoring agriculture. That's Flight Green I go buy a goat from all the way over yonder. He's still yet to tell us where he's going to buy the 1,000 goat from. The problem is lack of knowledge across the board. If our people understand the importance of politics to their daily lives, then they would put these useless politicians to work. So them two liars would want to have us believe they can't work. I don't know what is happening to my system this morning. Thing is working against me. It's not that. Oh, what is wrong this morning? These two, what is going on? Stop moving about. These two would have you believe because we have done significant work and we have made significant investment and we are getting some good results. So we really, I don't know why my things are moving. My computer is moving itself without me doing it. Sorry. Oh God. Sorry, I don't know what is happening this morning. If I come out of studio and come back in, it's gonna take me too long. I'll just struggle with it and then I'll fix it after. But yes, the tourism industry, the tourism sector, where the government always make we believe it's the strength of our economy, it's booming for us, but how about when things go pear-shaped? How about when the people of the West take advice from their government that there's a dire situation in Jamaica and you're putting yourself at risk if you go there, not only because of crime, but because of a shoddy healthcare system where they barely can cope, but more than all, they seem to don't understand what they're doing. That is what we're hearing from the US. But our politician would have you believe, no, sir, me don't know what them are talk about. But we understand and we know what them are talk about, and we know when it comes to the healthcare, we know that they could have gone even harder because the embassy officials in Jamaica and the mercenaries and CIAs in Jamaica know every stand grain of what is happening in our country. So don't think to say the Americans and the British are not fully aware of what is happening in our country. The job of the CIA in America and the job of MI6 in Britain is to know what is happening in every nooks and cranny across the planet, not across the Western Hemisphere, across the planet, every little nook and cranny. Sonia, good morning and welcome. Every little nook and cranny across the planet that the CIA and the MI5 can get their grip into, to know what's going on, to be ahead of you, to destabilize your economy if you're growing too fast. They're always there. They have never left. They are always there. They have never left. And if they want to destabilize your economy tomorrow, they are there ready to do it. So when the government would want to have us believe that our economy is booming, our economy is standing on a cliff edge, depends on how our politicians behave. Exactly same economic terrorism. So the Americans can throw us into chaos at their own will. But if we develop a sustainable economy, like make sure our agriculture is the center of our economy, or agriculture is what we use to make sure we have a global market, among other things. Tourism should be a side dish in our economy. It's a come and go. Just an act of God. Just for the purpose of an act of God. Tourism is a come and go situation. It shouldn't be the be all and end all of an economy. Jamaica has the resources under our soil. We have the fertile soil. We have the human resources. The problem is lack of willpower and continuous theft, blatant theft of our wealth and resources from government. And that is our economic struggle, you see. Where was I? I want to ask Mr. Golden. Mr. Golden must remember, so we still at about what is wrong with my slides this morning. Oh dear, oh dear. Sorry, people. Sorry. Me and my thing is this morning, they're not really working fine. However, Mr. Golden is still to retract, clarify, or I'm not moving this thing, it's doing it itself. My computer is playing up. It's just not giving me control this morning. Oh my God. If I come out of the studio to adjust it, it's gonna. But Mark Golden still has not explained to the public the information he gave in relation to Melissa Silvera's death. Even Cliff Hughes is recognizing now that politically, this doesn't look good for Mark Golden going into a local election. But let's hear from back of the class before we continue.
To say that I have to follow the strictures that were imposed by the court in terms of this preliminary aspect of the case, and my discourse with you will be limited. What I will say, however, is that the matter is fixed for the 8th of February, when by then it is expected that the relevant documentation would have been provided to the defense. That's the first thing. And secondly, I think it's important to note, and I'd like to take this opportunity to say that observations have been made in social media, which, by the way, isn't social at all. But such is the nature of life. But I would caution, and that may be an exercise in futility, because there are many persons who have sought to try and convict already. And That's unfortunate, and I will not go beyond that. And just to say that the file is incomplete, and there's a particular document that we need to inspect to determine the way forward in the way of an application for bail for Mr. Silvera. Beyond that, myself and Ms. Patrice Riley, who represent Mr. Silvera, would not want to comment and go into the details and intricacies of the matter, because that would be simply adding fuel to fire and to cause the discourse, the public discourse, to go on. And again, I think it's important that irrespective of your views, there are young children involved, and it is a very, very, very difficult time for these 3 children. I think that's been euphemistic, and I am asking the public, I'm pleading, maybe again an exercise in futility, but to exercise some level of restraint, not barring anyone from their constitutional right of freedom of expression and so on. But the life and the role of a defense lawyer is to provide defense. Everybody, every person, every citizen has a right to an attorney. And once we are in receipt of full disclosure, then we'll be able to determine how we treat this matter going forward. Thank you very much. Understanding, very apprehensive, very concerned, and as one would expect. Beyond that, again, I would not want to say anything at this stage.
And he maintains that he's innocent of the charge?
He has maintained his position. He has maintained his position of innocence from day one. I am not saying that he is, because I understand that there was a report to that effect. No lawyer should ever really say that, because if you were so certain, then you're a witness. But certainly what I can say with great emphasis is that he is indicating that he's innocent. We have our instructions, we have our job to do, and it is for the court, ultimately, and members of the jury to determine whether or not he's innocent. That's not my role. My role, our role, is to provide.
When a lawyer knows that the evidence against their client is weak or isn't pointing to guilt, what an attorney in Peter Champagne's position normally said, all the evidence suggests that my client is not guilty of the crime accused of. Why do you think Champagne couldn't have said that? Champagne couldn't have said that because Champagne would have been already aware that there is material evidence that links Joylan Silvera, and at this point, from what we know, nobody else to the crime. But I want to ask Joylan Silvera's daughter, if it's not your dad who killed Melissa, who possible could it be? Were you at the house the night when Melissa Silvera was murdered? Did you see who were the politicians that turned up at the Silvera's residence? Who were the high official bigwigs that was turning up in the SUVs? Who helped to clean up the blood? The tantamount of work that was done in the Silvera's residence on the night before crooked Sergeant Doney was called, because Sergeant Doney is crooked, and don't let Fitzbailey try to distract us from the corruption probe with regard to the police. And let me tell you why we must not be sidetracked by Fitzbailey. We have to remember, as it was said, Mark Golding was one of the first person on the 11th. On the 11th of November to put out condolences to Joylan Silvera. We then were told on the 15th, 16th of December On the 11th of November, we were told she died peacefully in her sleep next to her husband, with her husband by her side. But the emphasis was placed on peaceful and also an emphasis on husband by her side. Okay? Pathology report, 16th of December. Over a month on, we heard, oh no, she didn't die peacefully. She died violently. She was shot at least 3 times. Oh, I wasn't at home. That was enough to spark an investigation. That alone, him changing his argument the minute the pathology report surfaced, and with the pathology report, that was enough to arrest Joylan Silvera on questioning. That was enough to arrest Joylan Silvera on questioning. The protocol, we are told, that in such situation, more than one police is required to visit the scene. It's important to know if Silvera called Stonehill Police Station or Silvera called Miss Sergeant Doney mobile phone directly in relation to the cover-up. That is very important. How was the contact made? It is very important to know how was the contact made. Fitz-Bailey has launched a probe into whether there was initial corruption or lack thereof from the initial investigating officer. We're still yet to hear, but Fitz-Bailey is still denying police corruption coming from the police. Now, earlier this week, we learned something which says, oh no, Angela Madison, good, Museden, good morning. We learned earlier this week, Sergeant Doney took a photograph of the crime scene. Blood-spotted, blood-stained photograph taken at the crime scene. We were told that that sparked initial investigation, that something sparked up from the picture taken at the crime scene the night. What was the reason for taking the photograph? How long after taking the photograph did you share it with your colleague? Or did you pass it on to your hierarchies? As a sergeant, why didn't you further investigate what sparked you to take that photograph? That photograph taken by Sergeant Doney has now become a critical part of the probe. The important question that Fitz-Bailey needs to answer to us: at what point, if there was, before the postmortem result, an investigation started into the suspected death of Melissa Silvera? Why is it important? Why is it important? It is important in the context where tantamount of forensic evidence, tantamount of material evidence from the crime scene got wiped and destroyed over a 4 to 5 week period. Now, if Sergeant Doney investigative Antennae went up on the night of the 10th of November, why was Silvera given the opportunity to destroy vital evidence from the crime scene? And then Fitzbailey want to have us believe that there's no police cover-up here? There's no police corruption here? If you weren't working in cahoots, if Sergeant Doney wasn't working in cahoots with Joylan Silvera, why didn't Sergeant Doney open an investigation into a suspected or unexplained death? He noticed something unusual. That was the reason for Sergeant Doney taking the photograph. He noticed something unusual. That unusual sighting pushed him to take a photograph and share it with his colleague. It has now become a critical part of the probe. From that photograph, we want to know when he bring it to the attention of other colleagues and what happened from an investigative point of view when it became broad knowledge that this may have been a crime scene. Why didn't Sergeant Doney or the Stony Hill police went back? Why didn't they go back to the Silvera's resident 12, 13, 14, 15? Why didn't they revisit? Thanks, Sunshine, for the rose. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep tapping up the live, the screen on TikTok, please. Keep tapping up the screen. And in whichever platform you're on Global TV this afternoon, please give us some like and some share. That is all we're asking for over here. We do not have any GoFundMe, Cash App, or anything to harass you. We're just asking for you to just push your finger upon the screen. It is important and critical that we unearth the cover-up. We unearth the cover-up. And whoever is involved in the cover-up must face the law like the murderer Silvera. The reason for the People's National Party's silence, why they cannot even distance themselves from Joylan Silvera, more and more we're being made aware of how much of these crooked criminals of a politician that we have stepped over Melissa Silvera's body on the 10th, that night of the 10th of November, while everybody was running and scouring to cover the killing, clean her up, put on gurgle and waist trainer on her, little bit of blood, and Anishka Bunting and Joylan Silvera's sister. I want to know God bed in a waist trainer and gurgle. I want to know God bed in a waist trainer and gurgle. There is a lot of people involved in the cover-up that needs to go to prison. A lot of politicians that involved in this cover-up that needs to go to prison. Because while they were there that night, stepping over the dead body of Melissa Silvera, while trying to protect one of their chairman, Mr. Golden's chief of security, Golden wasn't misled to come out the morning of the 11th of November to lie to us, because they were all aware from the night of the 10th that they were dealing with a murder. A lot of them went there to help clean up the blood. A lot of them went there to assist in the cover-up of the crime. And now them don't want to go talk to police. Peter Bunting, sue me. You and your wife need to go and talk to the police. Was Miguel Phillips there? Why Miguel Phillips had to talk to the police? If Miguel Phillips knew about the murder, Miguel Phillips' father, highly possible, know as well. Morning, Abina. Good morning and welcome. This is why PNP is so silent. Because they all stepped over the dead body of a woman to protect their criminal friend, to protect the patriarchy of the People's National Party and our system in Jamaica. Man rule everything, man do them forget away with it. The spirit of Melissa Silvera will not let Joylan get away with it. And us, with our voices out here, will not let Fitzbailey get away, Fitzbailey and the People's National Party get away with this cover-up. We should not, because it can happen to any one of us. If they're willing to treat one of their very own uptown like this, God help the rest of us. But finally, before I go, your government I tell you, say, hurry up and come. Your government I tell your employer, say, hurry up and come. The tax money, the contribution from the National Housing Trust, employers urged not to withhold workers' monthly NHS contribution from crooked of a government. As you all would be aware by now, in the description area, you would find all the readable references that you can make reference to. And there is also an article from 18 Degrees North, which with regards to some of Andrew Holness' crooked dealings. You can also read that 18 Degrees North or article to keep yourself abreast with Andrew Holness' shady dealings. But as you see, more and more his stealing are being highlighted. So as we know, the National Housing Trust contribution, the National Housing Trust is under the remit of the Prime Minister. We see the Prime Minister going around the country and a scam of this, what is called social housing. For those of you Jamaicans at home, if you don't understand what social housing is, social housing is not what Andrew Holness is doing, certainly not. Social housing is not going around the country, going to a community and pick out one person, and then you look at the situation they're in, assist them with one of those homes, and then you run across the country and talk about social housing. No, that's not how social housing works. How social housing works, with the funds the government have from the National Housing Trust contribution and other government funds that could be invested into the social housing program. What the government would then do is identify lands, and from identifying those lands, what the government would do, whether you want to call it housing schemes, apartment blocks, or whatever you want to call it, but the government will go on a national drive across the country and is building a lot of these housing schemes or these apartment blocks. The departments of finance and all of those other bureaucrats are there to work out, okay, we're going to make sure those who can, the prices are affordable for those who can get their foot on the property ladder to buy one of these properties by way of mortgage and saving. Or on another level, what we will also do, we will make sure renting these properties are affordable. So we don't build them and them stand there stuck pound because poor people cannot afford them. The continuous revenue from that continuously go into the social housing program to build more properties across the country. And then by which you would achieve a broad social housing program where you're not giving one house to somebody in a Bugna Regis, then you go a Moko and you give somebody one house. That's not how social housing works. Social housing it's a national drive to make sure right across the country we build affordable and livable homes, whether it be housing scheme, apartment blocks, or whatever, but they must be affordable to be bought, and they must also be affordable for rent. So when you listen to the Prime Minister run around and talk about social housing, nothing on go, so it's a lie. A lot of we will live a foreign. If you know Jamaica, don't know. A lot of we will live a foreign know better. It's a scam and a lie. It's the election vote buying. So please don't be fooled by that. That is not social housing. That is the Prime Minister using public funds for his personal gain. And we must continue to call this out wherever we see it, because the National Housing Trust is awash with money. And given how thief and crooked the Prime Minister is, what chunk of that 700 billion is gone into the Prime Minister's wife's $800 million complex development? How long we are going to sit down and make these people continue rob we all? But this is where Global TV ends this morning rant. We will be back later. Thank you all very much for joining us. Those on TikTok, Nikki, good morning and welcome over on TikTok. Good morning. Good morning and welcome. Antonia Minter, good morning and welcome over on TikTok. Good morning. Good morning. Big Mick, good morning and welcome. Vanguard, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Lucky Boy, good morning. Thank you all. For those of you who are on TikTok, I really appreciate your support. What, 40 of you over here? +2, Sparks, Doreen, absolutely no one. Sunshine, as usual, you're here. My cousin Candice. But to those of you who are on TikTok and is in the chatting this morning, thank you all very much, Sim. Thank you all very much. I really appreciate your support. Please join me back here this evening, 6 p.m. UK time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Winston Dawkins, good afternoon and welcome. Please join us back here for our Drive Time London Lunchtime Global program. This will be aired 6 p.m. UK time, 1 a.m., 1 p.m. Eastern time. And if you're just getting to know me, you'll know that when it comes to number, I'm an international dunce. I am as dunce as the mayor for Port Antonio. And that is no mistake. Numbers just confuse me. However, then at 11 p.m. UK time, 6 p.m. Eastern time, we come back for the final program, which is our People's Point of View. And that is our third and final broadcast for the day. Again, if you are on our platform for the first time, please do give us some like, shares, and continue to get involved in the after chat comment. This is where we end it for this afternoon. We hope to see you back here on the Drive Time Lunchtime program. From TikTok, goodbye. From Twitch, X, Facebook, and YouTube, goodbye, and we will see you all this afternoon.